Howdy, howdy. Welcome to another episode of WeTS, We Talk Sports, presented by WeTV. Um, what has happened? It is free agency time, boys.
Free
and-
agency! Yay, we love free agency.
Absolutely, and lots going on. Not as much as last year, but still controlled chaos as usual by the NFL. And later on in the show, we will have Alexander Hoffman to join us to talk about some March Madness because we are in the midst of it.
Yes.
And we are recording this on St. Patrick's Day, so happy St. Patrick's Day, boys.
Happy
St.
St.
Patrick's Day to everyone out there. So thank you guys for once again joining me, my co-host, Jacob Pendergraph and Owen Fleming.
Yeah,
I'm
happy
Dom
to be here.
Siney, the host. So let's get right into it. Free agency, boys.
How do we feel about it?
I think we made some good moves.
Yeah.
I think a lot of moves were made.
A
I
lot
don't
of
think
moves
I
were
don't think
made.
all of them were good in the NFL, but I thought we had some good stuff.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I thought we did pretty well in terms of Carolina, and I think the Commanders did pretty solid as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not thrilled with it. I think I feel about the Commanders' free agents moves like how Owen feels about Red One.
Yeah.
Our wide receiver core is currently Terry McLaurin, Debo Samuel, and KJ Osborne.
I think that's still solid. I mean, you need a third one, but I think the draft you can get like maybe a steal. But
Yeah.
that's not a terrible one, especially if Debo's now going to be probably a second option compared
Yeah.
to Terry.
I
So.
wish we had Terry McLaurin.
Yeah.
It could be worse.
You know.
I did think y'all might like go out and sign like a star, like one of the top free agents
I
on
thought
the
we were
market.
going to get T. Higgins
Yeah,
or Myles Garrett.
A
you
lot
know,
of people thought about that
Big
too.
goals, but I thought you made mostly solid moves. I would
You
say.
didn't love
Yeah.
the Javon Kinlaw.
No, I did not love that. I thought that was a bit of an overpay for a player whose production has been
Well,
relatively limited.
The way I see it and the way I've been kind of dealing with this free agency stress is everybody doubted Adam Peters and Jaden Daniels and Dan Quinn in the offseason last year.
Yeah.
And we almost went to the Super Bowl this
I
year.
mean, that's the thing. You can't really get that much worse.
No.
Like I think at this point the administration and the leadership of the Commanders has earned my trust. And I think that honestly at this point I'm content to just sit back and enjoy the show and wait for August to roll around.
That's
Fair.
exactly. I mean, I think you guys did as good as you could have done.
Yeah.
And once again, we're not even at draft day yet, so that's kind of when a lot of those holes get filled
Yeah.
and more things come out. Especially once we get closer to even mini camp as well. That's when more decisions like, okay, who's left on the market, and a lot of trades are still up in the air.
Yeah, there's
Obviously,
still
a lot
plenty
of
move to be made.
closure is order, and I think the biggest one was of course the Bengals. But before we go into talking about
Yeah.
what we kind of liked from other teams, you got your point about Washington. I
Yeah.
think, and me and Owen are gonna now talk about our team, the Carolina Panthers. I'm gonna say it was pretty good. I think with what our focus was defense because
That's just
how
we need
terrible it
everyone
was.
on defense.
It was a train wreck, and I think they did well. I was a bit sad with Milton Williams falling through, but I
Yeah,
think
that
with
was
what the Patriots paid him, I'm a little bit more optimistic or kind of just more satisfied that the Panthers didn't really kind of bite a whole lot because I don't know how good Milton Williams is
Yeah.
outside of Philly, which
Yeah.
Philly's defense is just really, really
And we're
good.
already paying Derek Brown a lot of money
And-
to be the number one defensive tackle. Like if we had signed Milton, he would have been behind Derek.
And
I don't
that
think
be
it would have made a
good.
lot more of sense for him to be making more than Derek.
No, absolutely not. I think it would have been a good pairing, and I thought for
Yeah.
like in terms of like Milton going to a similar situation like Philly where he was paired up with somebody, I thought this made more sense.
I thought it was going to be a really great duo. It made me really sad that it fell through. But with the Pats, I don't know if he's going to be worth all that money because the Pats defense, their defensive line's pretty bare bones. He's going to be asked with that kind of money.
Yeah.
He's going to be asked to be a number one, and we don't know if he's capable of being
we
a
don't
number
know
one.
either. That's the thing.
So that'll be interesting. In terms of guys we actually did get signed,
Mm-hmm.
I really like the Trevon Moehrig signing from the Raiders. He's one of the top safeties available.
Mm-hmm.
Seems like he really fits what Giro Evero wants to do.
I think.
In the safety back line, we cheaped out on last year, and it was terrible.
Oh, it was.
So I
we
think-
let Von
yeah.
Bell walk,
Yeah.
and I thought that was not a great move, and especially with. And granted, the way they handled the Burns trade was more of the previous GM regime more than
That was more of them not wanting to pay him
in
that much.
Which, granted, now I kind of feel bad because he's stuck on an even worse team with the Giants.
Oh no!
So, but I definitely think, despite us focusing a lot on offense last year, we really neglected the defense, and that cost us a lot the previous year. And I think they did a lot to address it. I still kind of want them to go into the draft with the mindset of getting a really good defender. I'm
Yeah.
looking into the edge rush. I know
Jalen Walker would be
that would be a good one.
good one. Georgia
Depending on what they
Bulldog.
do, I don't know if they can. They really can't be buyers and move up. I would really love. They're not gonna get it unless like somebody trips up to get a really
Blue chip.
blue chip guy. But I don't know.
I think there are a few options. You know, he could take cornerback if Will Johnson falls. Mason Graham, I doubt he falls that far, but he'd be a good pick there. I mean, really, the draft is going to be hard to miss on because they have the flexibility now,
They
I
don't
think,
have
to
to
just
be-
take whoever's the best player
and
available.
That's the thing. What I like about the Panthers this offseason is that they have a good draft stock this year,
Yeah.
and they're making the right moves in the trades and the free agencies.
I would say so.
And I think they're going to compensate well when it comes draft season. They have a pretty high pick.
Really,
They had a
They
bad
can
season,
be-
but
They can be sellers too, especially with that 8th pick, because there's going to be some desperate teams out there that are
move up
looking
if
to
there's
get
a
it. And
quarterback.
I think they should still kind of consider just the 8th pick being where they are at, but I understand that they want to get some, capital and build off that. And a lot of that will be on about the
The draft. in
draft,
general.
but
I will say a fun signing, just for me personally, was the running back signing of Rico Dowdle.
I think that's a good one
Well,
too.
what's fun about that is he actually went to my high school and was
Really?
our quarterback in running back for the
Really?
high
Fun
school,
fact.
He was
high
a
school
QB
football
and an
team.
RB?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
actually
So it
insane.
was really cool for us to get a little local legend into the building. I was happy about that.
that's-
And he had 1,000 yards last year and only cost like $3 million. So we'll
Yeah.
take that any day.
That's good.
Overall, I think we're pretty good. We could use another weapon, but I like
Yeah.
the free agency we did this year.
Yeah, that's good. Let's talk about for our final kind of segment on this NFL. We'll talk about some of the signings and trades that we liked and didn't like. So I guess I'll start off. The moves that I liked. This might sound weird, but I liked Devontae Adams going to the Rams. I thought
Love
that was
that
a good
move.
move. The one I didn't like was the Bengals in terms of paying a lot for the wide receiver core. Now, I'm not mad at them paying for Jamar Chase. I think that's
Got to do that.
I think that's essential for Joe Burrow, especially. I do not really like the Higgins signing. Higgins is worth that money, don't get me wrong. I just don't like it as a Bengal because that money for a number 2 is a lot, and that defense is not getting better.
And I'm in the same boat as Dom with that. I obviously you got to pay the man Jamar Chase. I mean, he was probably the best wide receiver in the league this year. But I mean, T Higgins, that much money for a wide receiver too is
Especially
it's questionable, especially when you
bad.
have a defense that has
Especially
more
with
holes than
teams
Swiss cheese.
wanting to get T. Higgins, and then they
Yeah.
could get draft capital. That's the thing. They have the franchise tag where a team's going to sign and trade him, but they're going to give something for that. That's why I said if the Panthers went after T. Higgins, they'd probably have to give up a first-round pick and maybe some others just to
Yeah.
get him. Granted, the contract would be probably the risk there just because they need to care up cap, which they kind of did, but not a whole lot for a T. Higgins. But the
Yeah.
Patriots were also considered a buyer for that.
Yeah,
so.
I think they might have been just under pressure by Burrow to get it done.
Yeah.
Like, because he seemed pretty adamant that he wanted those 2 guys back. Maybe he's like, I don't care about the defense, just keep the guys that I like.
You're going to continue to lose games.
Which is a bad form of team
Yeah.
building if they're letting themselves get
Even
strong
if
armed.
they,
So we'll have to see if they can hit on defensive players this draft.
Yeah.
That's probably the only way they're going to be
They ha-
competitive.
They
and get
have
into
to.
the
I mean,
playoffs,
and
yeah.
even then, the offensive line is still a little suspect. It
Oh,
was
yeah.
better this year compared to previous years, but I mean, it's still the Bengals are like, and they got cheap. They
Yeah.
got cheap at the worst time they.
Well,
could.
they've been cheap for like the whole duration of Mike Brown's ownership.
I know it sucks for Bengals fans because they have a franchise guy who they lock down long term,
Yeah.
and they have to then watch these other guys who made the Super Bowl. Like that team after the championship in 22, they should have just said, "We're gonna lock down what we have,
Yeah.
and then move on. We're not going to be cheap about this because then this is what happens to the Bengals. Then they're fighting with teams, and then they're paying good players
Yeah.
a massive amount of contract,
Definitely.
and just not worth it. So
One of the moves that I did like, and I think this makes this team a weapon, is
Yeah.
DK Metcalf to the Steelers.
You think
That was an interesting
I
move.
think that's going to make the Steelers a lot more of a formidable team. Not just because DK Metcalf and George Pickens are the two biggest crash outs in the NFL,
Yeah.
but because they're both middle of the road receivers.
Yeah.
But having two of those human espresso shots running around the field isn't going to be enough to put anybody's defense on stilts. Like, I think that, the Steelers might have other areas that they can improve on in free agencies, but I think that the DK Metcalf trade was definitely the right move.
I think in a way that's true. I think it's a good move because they didn't have it kind of gives assurance with Pickens, especially if they consider. I know they might consider keeping him now, especially with kind of like how that might look. I still think the Steelers kind of just, I don't know. They always seem like the same team to me, especially because at quarterback wise, it's unknown. Whatever is going to be under there, because as much as the DK trade is kind of a steal for the Steelers because it's only a second rounder for a guy who has first round potential. I'm just not a huge fan of their situation with their quarterback. I would have been more if they had like Justin Fields. Like if they wanted to see where Justin Fields is at, and they kind of aren't good this year, and then they say, okay, we weren't good, let's get our guy in the future. Then I'd be like, that's great. That's fantastic in terms of just like planning. Because that would be such a non-Steeler move in terms of the current era. But to me, I don't know. I feel different about like, I think DK has a lot of talent, and I would have loved to see him in Carolina. And I don't know why Carolina didn't think about getting him, but
I think we just couldn't afford that, like
Probably it was that
5-year
contract, 'cause
That's a lot of money,
because they were linking him
and
up.
they don't
to,
know where they are yet. I think
Yeah, they were linking him up with Carolina, and I thought it would have been a match because
it would have been nice.
But that contract, and I think the Steelers just like more willing to just kind of go in there. So
I like
I'm-
that move.
I'm a mixed bag about it, just because I think the move really heavily depends on their idea and quarterback.
We'll see if Aaron Rodgers gets brought in.
Oh,
that
boy.
would be an
I'd be
interesting.
s- I would
That'd be
not-
like three
yeah.
of the biggest crash outs in the league.
I
in
don't
that
know.
one
I
room.
could see Aaron Rodgers kind of being let walk because,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to be honest,
Well, it looks like they're trying to sign
And that's not
him.
it's not a
With
great
Pittsburgh?
offensive line.
Yeah, well, Pittsburgh, Vikings, and the Giants are the three teams trying to sign him. Well, he's trying to sign with the Vikings. It's not known if the
Yeah.
Vikings want to sign with him. The Steelers actually want to sign him, from what we've read. So we're just kind of waiting on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
I
well,
did not see that.
well, yeah,
The
that's
three biggest crash outs in
Yeah.
the NFL.
All right, we'll be on some Aaron Rodgers, Steeler watch or whatever watch we're gonna find out.
Do
And hopefully
you have
that'll be.
any moves you hated, Jacob?
Any moves I hated.
And just didn't like?
I
in
think he
general?
kind of agrees with the Cincy trade.
Yeah, the Cincy deal was meh.
There's not really like a whole lot of like bad. Like I think the same.
I don't love what Kansas City is doing in their offseason.
I don't either.
I don't. I mean, they're not making any notable moves.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't heard of any that have broken
They
through
kind
my
of
feed.
yeah. They kind of went. I would
They've
say
kind
one
of been
thing.
radio silent.
Yeah.
Are you guys seeing the tear down in San Francisco?
Yeah, I mean,
Uh,
they've lost a lot of players, you know? I mean, I think that's also just a matter of they're out of the rookie quarterback timeline. They have to pay Purdy
I
after
think their
this year.
window's really
So that's going to limit who they pay a lot in the
think-
future.
I really think their window's like I don't want to say it's shut, but it is near the end of
Yeah.
Yeah,
just
I don't want to doubt Kyle Shanahan because he's a pretty good coach, but we'll have to see what he does with the new scheme and the new people in the building.
What do you think about Kansas City?
I thought that this kind of works
They-
for my negative point anyways. A lot of the offensive line signings, like specifically the tackle market, I was
Yeah.
not a fan of.
Oh, they overpaid a lot.
Dan
for
Moore
those.
Jr. to the Titans, he got like 80 million, like 50 million guaranteed.
Get them big
When
boys
he-
paid, baby.
But the thing is, he wasn't even that good of a
Yeah,
big
he's
boy.
not that good.
He
He's
was a
not-
mediocre tackle on the
Mhm.
Steelers.
And they paid
and-
him like
yeah.
he was like Trent Williams or
Well,
maybe
I
Ray
think
Lewis.
it's just a matter of tackles don't get to market. If a tackle gets to the free agency market, there's going to be some red flags.
yeah.
So I always think it's risky to be investing in it. So that, and then the Chiefs signed an offensive lineman as well. I
But
don't remember his
he
name.
was a
I think he was on the
backup.
Steelers, or not
no,
the
he
Steelers,
was
the
on
Niners.
Niners. He was
yeah,
a backup
yeah.
too.
They
which I
signed him to a pretty hefty contract when we really haven't seen a lot of what he
Yeah.
can do in the league.
Maybe.
So that'd probably
So
be a
maybe
move.
Andy
I,
Reid's seen some things in.
You never
on
know.
tape.
Like I
Yeah.
said, you never know. That's a good coaching staff, so you never know what they can get out of those
Yeah.
players. So, but I
and
think
then for a move that I did like, I would have to say I think the cornerback that signed with the Lions, DJ Reed,
Oh,
I
that's
think
a
that
good-
was a really
that
good
was-
I think that
pickup
was an
for them.
upgrade.
A nice,
I think that might have been like either way, like even losing Carlton Davis to the Patriots who are throwing money at everything.
Yeah, I thought that was a really
I mean,
smart pivot. You know,
I'd throw
DJ
money
Reed's
at
a good
everything if I
player.
had
Yeah,
that
if I had
much
that much
cap
money,
space.
yeah. But DJ Reed's a good cornerback,
Yeah.
and he's got that grit. He fits that Detroit mold. I think he's going to
Especially
be a
with
really
Dan
good.
Campbell,
Yeah, I
that's
think
a good
I
pick.
think he's going to be a really good fit for their defense.
I think the good teams, got good. Josh Allen, payday.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he got extended
You know,
too.
Rich
that
keep
brother
We're still waiting on a few guys. Waiting on Stephon Diggs. Waiting on Aaron Rodgers.
Never
Like I
know.
said, there's still
Yeah.
going to be some future discussions that we'll have to
Never know.
talk
We
about.
just cleared the Devin Singletary.
Yeah.
But that's going to do it for today's NFL segment of WTS. We're going to head over to our talk with Alexander Hoffman about some March Madness. And we are back now with Chats with Cats host Alexander Hoffman here to talk about some March Madness. And Alex, the brackets are growing everywhere. People are scrambling. It's crazy, man.
Catamounts, it is crazy. Neither of the Catamounts are in this year. I think the Vermont Catamounts might have made it into the women's bracket.
All
but,
right.
hey, there's something.
That's
There's something. There's
Yeah.
some form of feline catamount out there.
Yeah. I don't think any of us did. Any of us predict this SoCon tournament ending correctly?
Oh gosh. So
I said the Terriers had a shot, but I don't know.
I think I think for women's we did predict correctly because we
We
said
said
either
U-
Chattanooga or UNCG.
UNCG.
I think I was really high on
UNCG, yeah.
UNCG.
Yeah.
So
I mean, they're now at 14 straight games, but then they're the 16th. They're a 16 seed
they gotta
in
play
the
against
tournament.
those-
Are you serious?
and they got to play against
Whatever.
those other Trojans who
Well,
look
you know,
dangerous and are also a national championship.
it's a good team.
Yeah,
I
also the
I
fact
don't
that
see
they
any reason why.
immediately are going against.
Oh man, tough day for SoCon, but let's
Yeah,
hope for the upset. For
we always do.
Yeah, but I don't think any of us predicted Wofford to win the.
no, I
the
said
men's
I did
tournament.
say that I like Wofford. They're a good team, but I did not think they would probably be. I think I might have said Chattanooga was my.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I
think we were
I
pretty
th-
similar.
I think we were pretty strong on Chattanooga,
Yeah.
but Chattanooga didn't even make it to the final.
No, and now we've got this fun new bracket to
Yeah,
mess
this-
around
yeah,
with.
talk
so-
about.
All right, so
You guys want to start off with a lot of teams to talk about? I already did some of my bracket. I guess
Oh.
I'll talk about who I think will win the men's.
Sure.
I think I'm going to take Houston here. I've been high.
I don't know about that.
I've been high on Houston
Crazy.
for a lot. Outside of last year, where I had UConn winning it because I thought they were just going to repeat. But this year, I have Houston going all the way to take on the Gators in the national championship, and I am taking it. But my final four, I have the Spartans, Michigan State,
Mhm.
taking on Florida, and then I have Duke and Houston, and I think it'll be Houston all the way.
Interesting.
But there should be some fun teams out there. I'm going to be looking at Houston, but I'm also going to be looking at like the Clemson Tigers.
Yeah.
They seem very interesting this year. I'm trying to think of really some other exciting ones. I think Arkansas should be an interesting one too. But no, shout out to State. Are really was it Wilmington? UNC
Mhm.
Wilmington. Go Seahawks. Hope you
Yeah.
guys do well as well.
Hopefully, that'd be nice.
I do
applaud
have them
that.
actually winning over because there's always going to be a 3 beating a 14. And I think they're going to do it. So
That'd be
yeah,
fun.
I think Seahawks have got a game in them. I don't think we see SoCon make it past first round. It'd
No.
be nice if UNCG
Tennessee
can
is
pull off
another
a
team.
16-1 upset.
Look, you never
Nuts.
know. You never know. If there
but-
was a team, the one that who are they playing?
they're playing Tennessee.
Tennessee.
Yeah, that Wofford's playing Tennessee.
Which out of the top schools, I'd say that's probably the best one
Yeah,
to
I
draw.
mean-
yeah, that's
Compared to some of the other ones.
Compared to
you know,
like
Tennessee.
drawing Florida.
Yeah.
Florida or Duke.
Yeah. I mean, you know,
Whatever.
they've got a chance
Yeah, I think
to play a game.
the most important thing here is that we're gonna get to see Kyler Filowich throw the granny throw free throw
Oh,
on
that's gonna be
national
must watch.
television.
Beautiful.
Sports Center is going to have is going to have so much fun
Yeah.
posting that all over it, social media. so-
Regardless of if it's even close, because love you, Wofford. I don't know if it's gonna even be close, but you surprised us in the SoCon tourney anyways. So
And you
Yeah.
never know. I mean, Furman won a couple of years ago. Granted, it was
never
not
know.
as good as, say, maybe Tennessee is, but hey,
yeah, that'd
it's
be
March Madness.
Yeah.
Anything
Virginia,
is
who knows?
possible.
You got any specific teams, Alex?
okay. Here's the deal, right? Okay, I really want UC San Diego to win.
Yeah.
First year and postseason eligibility.
Who are they playing?
Michigan.
Okay.
I don't know
Um,
about that. Michigan's a good team, but
Look, I didn't say I had them winning. I
Yeah.
said I want them.
Yeah,
It'd be
that's
interesting.
fair.
Those
that's
are
fair.
different. I think I'm a UConn guy. I think UConn makes it out of the 64. I don't know they make it past
they have
32.
to they have to play Florida because Florida,
Yeah, they start with Oklahoma, and I think that's doable. But like,
that's gonna be
th-
hard.
it's been a
Yeah.
struggle. No Donovan Clingan, no.
And you guys are feeling the burn of just people leaving for the draft. You
Yeah,
know?
it's been
You never know. I
it's
mean,
been brutal to watch this year because it's like, oh man, we got the back to back, so we're gonna go for a three. No,
three-peat. It's gonna be hard. It's gonna be the toughest compared to last year, where it was like, yeah, UConn, they have a good chance. Even like during the regular season, it was like, yeah, they're probably gonna win it all again because
Yeah.
I just don't see a dominant team. Especially like, was it Auburn going down early last year? I was like, yeah, I mean,
Which could happen again this
could
year.
happen. I mean, you never know. I mean, was it only once that one has, I don't know what the stat is, but a 1 seed loses to a 16 seed?
Yeah.
But
it's I think it's happened twice ever.
twice. I know one of them was Virginia in 2018, but you never know. Never know. It could happen again. But
We could see a lot of different things happen. I just this UConn team, not. It's okay.
It's
I'm just
okay.
gonna leave it at that with UConn.
Okay.
I think the team we see from Big East making it far is St. John's.
I had
They're
St.
going
John's.
nuts.
Yeah.
I had St. John's making it all the way to, I think, my Elite Eight. So
Ooh, all
Yeah,
right.
they're yeah. I want Duke out early. It's
You
not
want
gonna
Duke?
happen.
Not
but
gonna
I want them
happen.
out early
Yeah.
because
Listen,
if they get out early enough before Flag is really feeling it again, then we might have a chance to see someone other than Duke win.
speaking of North Carolina schools, UNC making
Oh my
it to the
God.
first four.
Listen, I'm UNC over Duke all day. This shouldn't have happened.
I know, right?
I
It should have
mean,
been.
don't worry, guys. They're surely not ahead of that selection committee.
Surely
that
one of their
might be the
athletic
board.
directors isn't a part of the selection committee.
He was out of the room
who,
for
rece-
selection,
who receives
though.
a very
How
large
about
bonus
this?
if
He's
North
not
Carolina
there at
makes
all.
it.
How about this? Like, he can be there when they're not talking UNC bias.
The thing is, even if he's like there, the fact that he's on the staff makes it so they're gonna be like, well, we like this guy. He gets a lot of money if UNC makes it in. Let's just put UNC in.
It's good
Maybe
for
he'll give us some of his money.
Yeah.
It's good
yeah.
for ratings.
So
I guess,
I mean, not that I'm saying any of this happened. I
Yeah,
wouldn't
yeah,
want to
of
commit
course,
to
of
anything,
course.
but I'm just saying some things that
it just
look
it,
like that.
I think with how UNC has played, I think we see them not even make it out of the first
Maybe not.
four.
Maybe
I
not.
think I think San Diego State takes care of the Tar Heels.
Who do you
which-
have winning? Or-
The whole thing?
yeah.
Okay, listen, I have 7 brackets. So,
Oh,
like,
okay.
I've only had one so far.
You are a dedicated man.
one
now.
has Wofford winning, which
Yeah.
is my fun bracket
Of
that I do.
course,
Every
of
year I
course.
make a SoCon wins bracket.
Gotta.
Not
just in
gonna
case.
happen. Yeah, I have to cover my bases. I
Yeah.
made 2 UNCW wins brackets. I made one that was really boring, and it's the top seed wins every time till you hit the final 4, and then I was like, yeah, Florida. And then...
All right, well, get to like 2 more, and then Owen has to get to his.
Yeah, we can't do
Okay,
7
okay,
brackets.
I
we
think-
don't have the time allowance.
Okay, I say Florida or UConn takes
Okay,
it. I think whoever wins the UConn-Florida matchup, I think is going to be able to bring it all the way.
Yeah.
Because
okay.
if UConn can bring it back and beat Florida after the season they've had, I think that might show a big presence.
Gotcha. Okay. Teams I like. I want the Georgia Bulldogs to beat Gonzaga because this is the first time we've made the tournament in almost a decade. It's been a very long time, but that was a pretty not great draw for us, I would say. I would say there's a high chance we lose to Gonzaga, but we also beat Florida.
I think it's
so
gonna be a good game.
we can always try our best to beat Gonzaga. For winning all the way, right now I'm going to go with Duke. I know Cooper Flagg is currently hurt. But last year I went with NC State making it all the way in there. It served me well, so I think I'm going to continue my strategy of picking a Carolina school. Duke's is a pretty
Not
strong
UNC?
team, even without Cooper Flagg.
UNCW?
I'm not picking UNC. Even with Flagg hurt, I think as long as the reinforcements hold up for at least a game or two, he'll probably get back in the lineup. And when he's in the lineup, he's such a dominant player that he highly raises the stakes of them winning the championship, I would think.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that's a good way. Well, we don't have as much time because we talked about a lot of stuff today,
Mhm.
but we're going to briefly go over women's. We will go in more in depth in later episodes, especially when we get closer to the national championship. But I'll say my 2 teams that I'm going to look for, I think, are going to be Maybe 3. I'll say the Gamecocks, USC, and the Trojans, but as well as UConn.
Mhm.
So those are kind of my 3 teams in women's. I know you probably are going to say UConn.
Yeah.
UConn.
Yeah.
I think it's UConn. Like I can see a case for USC or USC because they're both kind of the same initials, but South Carolina or Southern California, I can see a case for either one. But I think this is like the Sarah Strong and Paige Becker's
The
combo.
last Paige
It's-
Becker's year.
Yeah, this is their final like, and Sarah Strong's a crazy good freshman
Yeah.
player too. But then there's Juju Watkins, and it's like 50-point game.
What are you
Um,
on?
I'd probably go with the Gamecocks myself. You know, I'm a big Carolina supporter still. Dawn Staley's a great coach.
She
you know.
is. She's
That's
a
a
really
great
good coach.
school, and you know, I think UConn is probably going to be the toughest batch they will have to face if they get through there. But overall, I'd say that's who I'm going to go with to win the thing.
I think the advantage UConn has this year is that there's not Caitlin Clark to
There's
hold
no
them
Caitlin
back.
There's
Clark
not.
to doing it. Well,
Yeah.
thank you guys. Thank you, gentlemen.